Welcome, everyone. Cannabis news with Joe Klare from May 17th, 2018, presented by the Marijuana Times. Of course, as always, check us out at marijuanatimes.org. Tons of great articles, great writers, all that stuff. marijuanatimes.org. Search the Marijuana Times on Facebook or Google or Twitter, whatever. Find all our social media networks. Speaking of social media networks, we can now be found, of course, on Vimeo, vimeo.com/marijuanatimesx. Last I checked, we were still barred from YouTube. We got caught up in the cannabis purge that we had reported on previously on Cannabis News. So now we're on Vimeo, vimeo.com/marijuanatimesx, or search the Marijuana Times on Vimeo. That would be awesome of you. Go check us out. Like the video, share, follow us on there. All that good stuff. Today, we're talking about the latest in Uruguay when it comes to their recreational, or Uruguay, however you want to go with it, their recreational market, which kicked off last year. We'll see how that's going. Also, California is in what seems to me, just the state of California, in some kind of unnecessary conundrum over marijuana taxes being lower than previously estimated. Of course, you know how I feel if you watch this show about estimations and projections, especially when it comes to the marijuana industry, where there's no previous data to fall back on to find any kind of information whatsoever. Talk about that. Also, I guess it was last week, maybe the week before, but I think it was last week, we reported on shenanigans in the medical marijuana efforts in Utah, specifically against the medical marijuana efforts in Utah. We have more on that coming up as well here on Cannabis News. But first, of course, Cannabis News is brought to you by naturesidecannabis.com. Check out their organic, all-natural pesticides. They are in the approved for the use and cultivation of marijuana lists by the Colorado, Washington, and Oregon State Agricultural Departments. You want to be regulatory compliant. You want to grow safe and poison-free. You don't want to use harmful chemicals. You don't want to lose your license to grow in the state that you're in by using banned pesticides. For all of those reasons and more, go check out naturesidecannabis.com, not least of which the amazing reasons, is that they are a sponsor of this show, which makes them even more awesome and great and dope than they would otherwise be, which is already a pretty high bar, but they just added on to that by being a sponsor of the show. And I could go on about that, but I won't, because I sense that people want me to move on with my superlatives. Sometimes I get on a roll. I'm a very creative person. Don't stifle my creativity. This first story is by yours truly. Over at marijuanatimes.org, almost 35,000 marijuana consumers are now registered in Uruguay, or Uruguay. Again, however you see fit to pronounce it. I will not pretend to be an expert on pronouncing things, so we'll just move on. Again, the recreational market, of course, kicked off last year. Some of you may remember recreational adult use marijuana is legal in Uruguay. There is it's sold in pharmacies. People can grow it at home. So far, about 35,000 people are registered by the government to consume cannabis legally. About 23,000 of those people get it from pharmacies. Well, the interesting thing is, and again, all of these stories are linked in the description of the video. All of the stories I talk about. This report on Uruguay's legal recreational cannabis market, the most interesting data point was only 17% of those registered are over the age of 44. Which means 83%, obviously, by simple subtraction. I'm also an expert at. 83% of the people who are registered cannabis consumers in Uruguay, they're under the age of 44. Now, I don't know enough about Uruguay, to their culture, their religious preferences, to make an opinion, or to form an opinion, or to give an opinion on why that would be, why that the older people in Uruguay are shying away from cannabis. That's certainly not been the case here in the United States. We've done stories before about how the age groups over 50 are actually the fastest growing age groups when it comes to people who are consuming cannabis and having new cannabis consumers, or in their cases, many return cannabis users after many years away from the substance. I don't know why. Again, I'm not an expert at all on Uruguay or their culture or whatever reason, but there's something keeping older people away from legal marijuana. Maybe stigma, culture, religion, I don't know. A combination of all three, a combination of those three things and more, maybe a combination of two of those three things. I don't know. If you're an expert, if you've been to Uruguay, you know anything about it, you have any relatives there, leave us a comment. Tell me what's up. I love to learn about things, but I'm not sure where I can go to learn about Uruguay and their culture. I mean, Wikipedia, come on. That's not going to do anything. It's like reading a textbook from 45 years ago. There's a bunch of wrong information. It's not going to help me. I got to hear from people. I guess I could go on YouTube and search videos. I can hear from people who either know people there or have been there and know about the culture. But something is keeping people away. I was talking in this article about an article I wrote last year about why the government being involved in this and capping prices and all that's going to be bad for the legal marijuana market. Go check that out. MarijuanaTimes.org, linked in the description of this video. And 35,000 people, that's only about 1% of the total population of Uruguay. So it's slow going, but, you know, that can be said about a lot of things. You know, it's slow going in California. Hey, look at that segue. Man, one of these days I will be a true professional broadcaster. And there's things like this, that segue, that makes me believe that. This is from Marijuana Business Daily, mjbizdaily.com. California's low marijuana tax stream complicating the marijuana business climate. Apparently they're bringing in a lot less tax revenue in California. They say that's thrown a wrench into the works for those hoping state lawmakers might drop tax rates to help combat the black market. Here's the gist of this. Lower tax rates means that the government feels, state government of California feels that they have less money to combat illegal marijuana growing. So they were planning on lowering the existing tax rate, but they're expecting a shortfall because apparently Jerry Brown's office projected $175 million from the excise tax in this budget year, which, as I've said, and I've said many times before, projections are useless, absolutely useless, especially when it comes to marijuana, which has been underground and has been sold in the black market for decades. There's no data, there's no patterns, there's nothing. There's nothing. This is all new. These are all starting from a couple years ago, all these supposed estimates and projections. So just to come up with the number 175 million out of thin air, well, guess what? It's not that much. Between January and the end of March, California took in only $34 million in excise tax revenue from cannabis sales. Now, they wanted to cut the excise tax from 15% to 11%, according to the Los Angeles Times. They can't do that because they need money to combat illegal marijuana, black market marijuana. And to me, going against black market marijuana and spending money and resources on that is the same as prohibition. That was the whole thing, was combating black market marijuana with resources, tax resources. I thought the point of that was we get away from that. The legal market, you lower the taxes, you lower the prices, you allow the supply to increase, you undercut the prices of the black market, you put dealers out of business, you make cartels not want to be in the marijuana business because the profits aren't there. It's not worth the risk. So instead, the state of California sees itself inside some kind of weird conundrum. On the one hand, if they keep it the way it is, the tax rate at 15%, they allow themselves to be undercut by the black market, not registered shops, illegal dealers, so on and so forth. But if they drop it, and it says right here, it says it's not necessarily a guarantee more customers will enter the legal market or that the state tax revenue will increase. Well, no, it's not. It's a pretty sure bet that, you can't call it a guarantee, but it's a pretty sure bet that more customers will enter the legal market. Whether overall enough enter the legal market to offset the tax decrease and to end up increasing the revenue overall, well, that remains to be seen. I mean, it's a matter of tinkering with the tax rate. But that would, if it did drop prices, of course, as I said, it would undercut the black market, the illegal dealers. So they're worried they're not going to have enough tax money to go against the black market, when if they would just drop the tax and allow prices to come down, which they will, as they've done in Oregon and Colorado and Washington, and everywhere marijuana is legalized, prices will begin to come down because supply increases relative to demand, and that's how prices work, supply and demand. So prices come down, bring the taxes down, help the prices come down, lift some regulations, allow more people. California's having a slow go with local people having a problem with businesses. A lot of illegal businesses are just now getting into going after legal licenses. Most of the shops operating in California are still unregistered, unlicensed, unregulated. Of course, they don't pay the taxes, and they're one of the problems that legal businesses are having. In any case, allowing the price to come down, which it will if you just leave it alone and get out of the way, The price of marijuana will come down in California. They'll undercut the black market, the illegal dealers. They'll get out of business. Will it eliminate the black market? No, not completely. Will it happen overnight? Of course not. The black market operated in California for decades, and it's a big state. And this goes for every other state that legalizes. The black market has a head start. It has a brand awareness. People have their guy, the guy they call, the guys whose house they go to, the guy who grows. They've known this dude for however long, 2 years, 7 years, 9 years, 20 years. Maybe it's their cousin. They're entrenched in business, and here come these legal businesses. The only way they're going to pull customers into these legal businesses is low prices and better quality. Everything else take care of itself. Legality, no hassle worrying about where you bought it from, any of that. But the prices have to at least be comparable, usually lower, and quality's got to be good, better than what they can get from their dealer. That will drive away, that will shrink the black market. How much it will shrink it? Well, it depends on how low the prices are. The cartels don't want to be in business in businesses where they can't make profits. And the only way to do that, to keep them from getting the profits and keep illegal dealers from getting the profits, is to drop the price. So there's not a conundrum at all. Drop the taxes. Lower the prices. That's it. Because if you're going to keep the taxes high and use that money to combat illegal marijuana, well, that's just prohibition, and prohibition didn't work. So, no. It's not a conundrum. It's an easy decision. Do it. Listen to me. What an arrogant person I am. You do it, California. You get it done. A couple weeks ago, maybe last week, I think, we talked about Utah's medical marijuana ballot initiative and some shenanigans going on with people who are apparently going door to door to try to get people who signed the medical marijuana ballot initiative, the petition, to rescind their signature. Well, now the medical marijuana ballot initiative backers are threatening to sue opponents over deceptive tactics. This is from Fox 13 Now in Utah. Sponsors of the medical cannabis ballot initiative announced they plan to bring a lawsuit against their opponents, alleging fraud over efforts to get people to remove signatures from the citizen initiative petition. In a letter provided to Fox 13, an attorney for Utah Patients Coalition, the Utah Patients Coalition threatened a lawsuit against the Utah Medical Association, the Utah Eagle Forum, and the Drug Enforcement Administration. Yes, that's right. In the coalition, they have formed Drug Safe Utah. Your efforts to mislead voters who signed the petition in order to induce the withdrawal of their signatures from the petition not only renders the withdrawals void and without legal effect, but also gives rise to civil liability for damages incurred by the coalition. Further, even if you did not employ fraudulent means to procure signature withdrawals, the withdrawal forms are defective and incomplete and were improperly submitted by the county clerks to the county clerks. Finally, whoops, scroll down too much. It appears the drug enforcement agencies, which is, everybody gets that wrong, it's administration, affiliation with the Drug Safe Utah places them in direct and continuing violation of federal law. It's attorney Corey Langhofer, who represents the medical marijuana backers in Utah. The basis of the legal threat are videos Fox 13 broadcast earlier this week, showing people making false claims to persuade St. George's area voters into removing their signatures from the medical marijuana ballot initiative. As I said when we did the story last week, to spend money, I say it's one thing to be against medical marijuana, which is ridiculous enough on its face, to say sick people shouldn't have the option to treat their ailments, whatever they are, with cannabis. They shouldn't even legally have that option. It is a ridiculous tact. It's a ridiculous position to take. But to actively raise money or give money or donate money to a group, which includes the DEA, to go door to door to these people who signed this petition and to lie to them, to get them to take their names off this ballot petition, which would not legalize medical marijuana. It would just give voters a chance to vote on medical marijuana. So they're spending money to keep people from even having the choice of voting on whether or not sick people have the choice to use marijuana to treat their ailments. I've done this for a while. I've followed cannabis news for a while, and, well, since 2009, so 9 years, I've been writing and following cannabis news. Well, before that, but professionally for 9 years. And I off the top of my head, I can't remember something as egregious as this. To try to actively take away the voter's choice of giving people a choice to use medical marijuana, I don't know. That's crazy to me. So I hope they sue. Yes, sue sue their pants off. I guess my arrogance again. This has been a whole episode of me telling people what to do. I'm going to do more of that. I told myself what to do. Do more of telling other people what to do. California, get on it. Utah people, medical marijuana backers, sue. Get to it. Thanks, everybody, for checking out the show again. Make sure you check us out on vimeo.com/marijuana_x. Share the videos. Thank you to naturesidecannabis.com. CIDE is how you spell side. And naturesidecannabis.com, proud sponsor of the show. Check out the organic, all-natural pesticides. This has been Cannabis News for May 17th. We got one more show this week, so we'll see you tomorrow here on Cannabis News.